Shalom Aleichem, sweetest friends. This year should be a special schus for my grandfather, who was his yurtzeit today, Rabbi Alexander Zisha ben Rabbi Yosef. We'll be learning about the Isser of Tinaf, which is in the Aseres Hadibros, which you can be reading on Shabbos in Yirtzeh Hashem. Parshas V'eschanan haba aleinu v'al kol Yisrael l'tova. The Rambam in Mitzvah Shin Mem Zayin, the Mitzvah Loisei in Sefer HaMitzvahs, tells us that we is hiranu migalos erbas eishes ish. We are not allowed to have relations with an eishes ish. And then the Hemshech Dvar brings the Sifra that quotes the pasuk of Asher Yinaf as eishes ish, Asher Yinaf as eishes re'ehu. So that's it. We have an onesh there for niyuf. But we're looking for an ashara for a lo saseh. So Talmud Lomer lo sinaf, and from lo sinaf we learn a lo saseh as well. Because ain't on channel came here for singing ashara. Only then you can give an onesh. So we have a lo saseh Baruch Hashem. We have lo sinaf. We also have the onesh. So everything is good. And lo sinaf implies both the man and the woman. Lo sinaf answers both. And the Rambam continues and he says, we don't learn from the pasuk of El Eishes HaMitzcha Lo Sitein Shchavtecha, etc. as an ashara, because we want an ashara that's kol the noyef and the noyefes. But this ashara is only referring to the noef, to the man, and not to the woman. And the Rambam says, other arayos as well, we have a ashara for the woman when it says lo sikrevu. So you have both, plural, man and woman. So we have an ashara for other arayos as well, not only for Eishes Ish. So we see from the Sifra that the Rambam brings that we have a pasuk of lo sinaf to include man and woman. We don't learn from the pasuk of Eishes HaMitzcha Lo Sitein Shchavtecha, because that pasuk is only referring to the man. But what we have to understand is that the Rambam says lo sikrevu asers man and woman. So then why do we need to come on to lo sinaf? Just like lo sikrevu asers all the other arayas, lo sikrevu can also aser man and somebody else's wife, can also aser niyuf. So we don't need to come on to lo sinaf for as an ashara. What's wrong with the pasuk of lo sikrevu? That's really not shver, because the pasuk of lo sikrevu was said l'she'er b'saro, to one's relative, and somebody else's wife is not his relative. So lo sikrevu is not an ashara for an eishes ish. Therefore, we have to say it's from lo sinaf. But that itself requires an explanation. Why does the Torah say l'she'er b'saro? Lo sikrevu is only she'er b'saro, and not also include eishes ish? Because it says in the parsha of lo sikrevu, it says also eishes ish, but that can't be the ashara because it says l'she'er b'sara. But why does the Torah find it necessary to say there l'she'er b'sara and knock eishes ish out of the equation? What's wrong with putting eishes ish also in lo sikrevu? So it would appear that we can learn from this that the emes, the erev of eishes ish, is its own separate category, and it's not shaykh to the pasuk of lo sikrevu, and needs its own ribu, its own chiddush. But the Yisod HaDvarim Tzarech Biur, and for that we'll go to the Goin, Rabbi Fala, Kohen Kunstler Shlita, who will open our eyes b'siyata d'ishmaya. In Shulchan Aruch, at the beginning of Siman Lametes, he writes, Elu sha'asuros machon, or in Even Ezer, Elu sha'asuros machon erva, mehem min haTorah, mehem min Rabbanan, oisin shem min haTorah, en kedushin teifsevem, those are asur al erva, min haTorah, the kedushin are in teifes. And then it's moina there writes, asuros min haTorah. The Gra there writes, how many are there? There are 18, just in case you were wondering. Levad mi nida ve'eshes ish v'zochar v'behem. We have 18 arayos, except for nida, eshes ish, mishkav zochar, and mishkav behema. Now, that's weird. Why do you say there are 18? The Gra is giving us numbers. The Shulchan Aruch counts them, enumerates them, and we can count ourselves. So what's the Gra telling us? 18. So it would appear that the Gra is not just giving us a number, but rather he's telling us there's a gather here of 18 arayos. So you're right, there are other arayos in that parsha, but the gather of 18 arayos l'chud, levad minida ve'eshes ish v'zachar v'behema, different parsha. That's what the Gra is trying to tell us, but divrei HaMachaber. Yes, there are other arayos, but these 18 are their own category. And like what the Gra says is Meduyak in Parshas Arayos B'Achremos. Because after all of the arayas, then the Torah says, Eishes Ish Nida Zachor and Behema. So there are two categories. Iker Geder Harayas. However, we have to understand that the Geder Advarim Bishleim Linyan Zachor and Behema. So they're really different. That's a different category. Because that's not Geder Erva, that's Stam Isser Be'ila that the Torah Aser. Not an Erva. Not a forbidden woman. Linyan Nida also. We could say it's different than other arayas. And that's what we can learn from Divrei Moran Riz Halevi in a Nichtov Shebesayf Sifroi that he writes explaining the chiluk between Isser Nida and other arayas like Mitzvahs Yibum. And he writes that possibly it's because Nida not only is Kedushin Toifes on a Nida, unlike the other arayas, but also Be'ikari Surah Ve'etzem HaChevtza Shala, sounds like bris because it is. It's different than the other arayas and Chayvei Lavin, because the Isser of Nida is not Shaykh Lelikuchin V'Nesuin. Shetechoshev Isha She'asura Al Yavama. She's not going to be considered a woman who's Asura Liyavama. It's a different parsha. Other arayas, yes, but this woman, no. What's the Isser of Nida, Zaktavi? The Griz? It's a Maisa Bia B'Shas Isura. That's the Isser of Nida. Nida is not considered an Arayas, not considered an Erva, but just B'Shas Bia, Maisa Bia, B'Shas Isura, that's the Isser. But it's not an Isser L'Kuchin, V'Nesuin. And that's why the Rambam says in the 18th paragraph of Surah Bia that she's not considered a Zona, because she's not B'chlal Isha. She doesn't have the status of a Zona. For a Kohen, Hashem came b'shara rayis v'chayvei lavin, like the Rambam there says. So since the Isser of Nida has only been Ma'aseh, it's not a stira to the Iker Din Yibum. Iker Din Yibum is Din Nisuin. So this Nida is not a stira to that. It's not an Isser Nisuin. Ayin sham b'dvarav ha'meirim v'hasmeichim v'nilmad mizeh. We can learn from Dalton that the Geder of Arayas is not because one is not allowed to have relations with this woman, but rather that one is not allowed to marry these women. It's mishum Isser Likuchin, and the Isser Bia flows from the Isser Likuchin. Because these arayas are a stira to the ishus. Because having relations with her is a stira. One's not allowed to marry such a woman. And therefore, Bia is usher. So, Isser Nida is in a different category. Why? Because all the other arayas are stira of Isser Ishus. It's a stira to Ishus. You're not allowed to marry them. And the Isser Bia comes from the Isser of marrying. Hashem came Nida. Nida is not an Isser marriage. Nida is an Isser of the Etzem Maisa Bia. Different category. Okay? So now we understand Zachar, we understand Behema, we understand Nida, but now we get to unser topic, which is Eishes Ish. Why is Eishes Ish Mutza B'chlal HaRayas? Why is that in its own category? The Pashtus, she's an Erva like other Arayas. There's an Isuin there also, isn't there? Of course, in Eishes Ish. From the Gra, you see not like that. And the Isser Bia is not because the Etzem Eishes Ish is a stira to Ishus, but rather it's an Isser Bifnei Atzma, that the Torah asked not to have Bia with an Eishes Ish. The Torah, besides the regular Isurim of Arayas when the Torah answered an Eishes Ish, has a special category of Lo Tinaf. Special category of Lo Tinaf. It's in its own, has its own pasuk, its own parsha. You don't have all the other arayas here also. It's a shame b'fnei atzmo, this niyuf. This niyuf is only an Eishes Ish. So it's an Isser b'fnei atzmo, and it's not like the other arayas. Other arayas is because it's a stira to ishus, but this we see just from the placement in the Torah. It's a category b'fnei atzma. However, we have to note the Rambam, Perak Yud Ches Surei Bia, that the Riz mentioned, that we see there that the din zona is talui b'misha nivela lo'adam she'asur linaseh. Somebody had bia, the man she wasn't allowed to marry, and included in that category is an eishes ish. So you see, the iser eishes ish is shaykh to the iser lekuchim v'nisum. It's like other arayas. In the same category. In other words, it's bia with somebody. She gets a shame zona. She has bia with somebody she's not allowed to marry. And that includes eishes ish. So it is in the same category as the other arayas. So it would appear as follows. Yes, it's true that the yesod of the isser of eishes ish is mishum isser nisum. However, it's still not like the other arayas. The other arayas, Yisodis and Nisuim, is because they themselves are a stira l'ishus mitzad atzma. Mashen ken be'ishes ish mitzad atzma, she's not considered a stira l'ishus. Just the Torah asered want to marry her. So yes, there is an isser nisuim, but sof, not because the woman herself is a stira l'ishus, or k'sha'ar arayis. So that's a hevdel dak chiluk dak. But the other arayis, yes, there's an Isser Nesuin for both. That's where it comes from. That's where Isser Bia comes from. But the other arayas, it's because they themselves are a stira to Ishus Mitzad Atzman. And the Ishus Ish is not considered a stira Ishus Mitzad Atzman. Just the Torah Aserd Nesuin. But not that she herself is considered a stira Ishus. And this we can learn from the Rambam there in Halacha Zayin. Kol Nevelis La'adam, She'oso Sezona Bein Ba'onis, Bein Baratzim, Bein B'Zodam. A woman who had bia with somebody who was also to her, no matter how it was done, with what kavan and shagyon, etc., she's psula mishum zona. Lefikach eishes ish shenivala la'acher bein ba'oines bein baratzon nifsal lekuna. And therefore, an eishes ish who is nevelas to somebody else, bein ba'oines bein baratzon, she's psula lekuna. We have to understand, why did the Rambam place eishes ish as its own category, b'fnei atzmo? He said all women, and then he said, and therefore eishes ish also. He already writes b'tchilas ha'alacha. Kol nevelet la'adam she'osel tazona, and eishes ish is included in that category. She's also made into a zona when she has a bia with a woman. She's not allowed to be with somebody else besides her husband. So you see from the Rambam that there is makom lechalek ben eishes ish l'shar isurim. So apparently that's the explanation. So yisod eser is mishum eser l'kuchem ben isurim, not stam bi asura like by nida. But sof, we have to make a chiluk between the other arayas. The other arayas, she herself is a stira l'ishus. Masha enkein be'eishes ish mitzad atzma, she's not a stira l'ishus, and therefore we have a mina that she's not going to become a zona. Just the Torah asert the ishus, and therefore the Torah asert is bia, but not that she herself, the mahusa, is a stira to the ishus. And there you see from the fact that the Rambam differentiated, he says, tells us even in eishes ish, and that's divrei hagra. Divrei hagra is that Yud Ches Arayis, and he included in eishes ish b'hadei together with the nida and zachar and behema, like we have in the psukim in Parshas Acharemos. Based on this, we can also explain the gather of the chiluk between eishes ish l'shar arayis. We can also explain the sifra that the Rambam brings, that we learn from Lo Tinaf. We don't learn from Lo Sikravu. You can learn from Lo Sikravu, because the other arayas are not. In the same category as eishes ish, Yud Ches Arayis l'chud and eishes ish l'chud. So you can't put Eishes Ish in the same category as the other arayas. It's not a raya just because they're aser. Doesn't mean that Eishes Ish is. And that's because the other arayas, the Isha be'etzem is mufkas v'chashiva stira l'Isha. She herself is considered a stira to the Ishas. And that's the yesod of the Yisr Biyah. Therefore, a man is like a woman. It's going to be the same Isser. But Eishes Ish is apparently more kal. She herself is not considered a stira l'Ishas. But the Ishas is aser. And therefore we require a Yalfusa b'fnei atzma from the pasuk of Leis Tinaf. So Adkan, this was the Yishuv of the Drishas Pikudecha, and L'kshela Atzmi, I need more of a hochacha of why Taka is in Eishes. We see that she's a different category. That he proved very nicely. But how can you say that she's not a stira? How can you say that her Ishus is not a stira to... She's not bechefza stira to Ishus. She's married to another man, just like all the other arayas. That requires further understanding, but the goal of Talmud Torah is not to get to the end. You never get to the end. Like the Ramban says, that's Chochmas Talmudenu is not Chochmas HaTishboretz. It's not like math. We have absolute answers. But we're just constantly getting deeper and deeper and deeper and trying to understand more and more. And that was our job today, to understand the difference between Eishes Ish and other arayas. And we took some steps, and I hope to, Mitzvah Shem, to get to the Havana, the full Havana. Shalom, shalom, sweetest and most beloved friend.